Well, good morning. You are live with the Disheveled Chef. And yes, this is Kim Johnson. And this morning we are going to talk to you about another one of my favorite tips for starting your day. Now, I'm starting my day, I actually look like and I'm getting ready to go to the gym in about 30 minutes. So before I do that, I am going to grab a cup of coffee and make sure that my day is planned, the rest of my day is planned. And so to do that, I actually make a special kind of coffee. Hold on one second, I want to turn something around so I can see it. Okay. All right, so with that said, I had a video up the other day which shared about green juice. So I've already had my green juice this morning, and now I'm going to be having my cup of coffee. But I don't make a normal cup of coffee. And here is my cup of coffee. You're able to see it right here. This is, wow, it's such a cool cup too. It's called the Inspired Coffee, if you can see it. All right, and this is an espresso coffee. So I have an espresso machine. I have every kind of coffee machine there is. So all of that, from being able to make Cuban coffee to a French press. So I have a lot of different ways that I make coffee, but I love just the convenience of the Nespresso machine, and I especially love the frother. So what I do in the morning is, of course, make the coffee, and then I take a nut milk. All of my nut milks are unsweetened. This is a non-GMO soy milk. Here is a non-GMO almond milk. You can get this in the States, Almond Breeze. It's my favorite brand. All right. Here is a coconut milk. And here is a coconut cream, okay? So these are basically the go-tos for coffee. So you have to find your own nut milk. I definitely highly recommend a nut milk versus a animal milk, and I'll tell you why. Nut milk has a lot of nutritional value in it, and it also is far more alkaline to the body. A cow's milk actually is acidic to the body, and therefore when something is acidic, you have to draw from the bone marrow calcium. So you have to draw it from calcium to actually alkaline the body. You know, you have those Tums. What are Tums? Tums are really calcium, right? And you know, you're kind of digesting that. So calcium plays a huge role in alkalizing the body. A lot of people don't realize that a lot of the lack of bone marrow, bone density, and the issues with the bones is due to an excessive consumption of actually animal milk. And that's like a big shocker, because oftentimes we actually hear the reverse, that it's milk that makes strong bones, when we find out that the acidity is actually just taking the calcium from the bones and diminishing the bone density. So nut milks are fantastic. Now, and a lot of people don't like soy, and soy may affect them. There's a lot of write-ups about soy on both sides of the story. So you've got to figure it out for yourself. I don't have a problem with soy. On the contrary, let me tell you, soy has really helped me through a lot of hormonal imbalance, even hot flashes, folks. So for the women out there, it's been a real help for me. I don't consume a lot of soy. And I think that's what makes the difference. I don't consume a lot of soy. I consume maybe a half a cup a day. Okay, so what I do is I take my nut milk and I pour it into my frother, or you can just pour it into your coffee, however you want, or into your blender. I'll tell you why. Because the next thing I do is I add what's called MCT oil. Now this is the Bulletproof brand. This is one of my top brands. I will have a link underneath where you can order these brands right off of Amazon, and you can go right to it, know what to order. You'll see it right on my page. However, this is and has been a game changer for my brain, and it is for anyone's brain. The brain loves medium chain triglycerides. You find medium chain triglycerides actually in one of the highest sources of them is in coconut oil. So you might think, well, why not just use coconut oil? Well, I do recommend you use coconut oil. There's some amazing benefits for coconut oil when you cook, or when you can melt it, use it in a dressing, and it's got a lot of benefits, which I'll share in just a moment. But I want to talk about this today more than I want to talk about coconut oil. Coconut oil is a saturated fat, and saturated fats have gotten a lot of bad rap over the years. However, there's a lot of unhealthy saturated fats out there. And those unhealthy saturated fats are exactly what they are. They're unhealthy, but there are plant-based saturated fats that have been found to be extremely beneficial for the body. And coconut oil, of course, is at the top. The other saturated fats that are also finding and gaining a lot of ground is your grass-fed meats and cheeses. Grass-fed, grass-finished. It's so sad today that we have to actually have grass-fed, grass-finished, because we find that commercialism often looks for the cheapest way to provide food to the consumer. So they will grass-feed their beef in the beginning, and then they'll take them to the to the stalls, and they will feed them corn. Now, as you know, corn, beef cows, they chew the cud. They have a digestive system that is completely vegan. It is a grass-fed system. It cannot digest corn. And if indeed they're fed a lot of corn, it makes them fat, but it does not deliver the nutrition into the actual beef, all right, into the meat that you have when you have grass-fed and grass-finished beef. So when back in the day, when cows just ate from the ground, all right, the nutritional component, especially in the realm of vitamin B, was extremely high. However, we don't have that same component when we are feeding corn to our cows, especially GMO corn, folks. So that saturated fat does not have the nutritional value that a saturated fat that comes from grass-fed, grass-finished beef does, or chickens, or cheeses, because all of it's the same, right? The milk, the butter, the cheese, I mean, all has that source. So when it's grass-fed, grass-finished, you have a whole different actually chemical bonding makeup and nutritional value. So very interesting to know. Now, back to our MCT oil. You know, I try to do these things in 5 minutes, but boy, we start talking about one thing, I have to share another thing, and so now back to our MCT oil. I started taking MCT oil almost a year ago, and this product has changed my memory. Not that I've ever had a really bad memory. In fact, I have an extremely strong memory. And I have even a photographic memory. I have a good memory. However, I have never been really great with names, and I've never been really great with certain types of recall, especially with numbers. So I have to always work on my skills with that. That's why I do a lot of math with my head. I don't use my calculator a lot. I do things to really heighten my ability to remember. And so, you know, I constantly am working on that. Well, when I started taking the MCT oil, the first thing I noticed was that my name recall was off the charts in comparison to what it was. Before, I was always like second, third time, what is your name? And then all of a sudden, I noticed the name recall just like, wow, hi Esther, how are you? Hi Joe, how are you? Like before I'd be asking somebody, who is that? And then all of a sudden, this MCT oil was really starting to help with that part of my memory. Also with numbers, it's amazing, but I can do a lot with numbers where before I used to have to really work at it. So this product, this happens to be the Bulletproof product. There's others that you can get, but let me just list a few things that MCT oil does. Oh, and before I do that, let me tell you what it is. All right, in coconut oil, you actually have what's called a long chain triglyceride or a medium chain triglyceride. And in a medium chain triglyceride is just the carbons that are connected to each other in the chain of the food. So it's the easiest way I can explain it. And so these carbons that connect each other, all right, they can be long, like you can have like 12 to 40 of them, or you can have 6 to 12 of them. And when you get into a medium chain triglyceride, that means that these molecules, there's like 6 of these that join together, or between 6 and 12. And when there is a regular coconut oil, it can be, oh wow, it can be up to 40, okay? So MCT is low on the chain composition, and the brain absorbs it. And so 60% of coconut oil is medium chain triglycerides. So what they've done is they have taken the medium chain triglycerides out of the coconut oil and made it into just an MCT oil, an oil that is just medium chain triglycerides. And so in the back of this, you're going to find that it is one of the 4 types of triglycerides found in coconut oil, and this is the caprylic acid. So it has actually some of the lowest chain triglycerides that you can get when you remove it from coconut oil. Now, what are the benefits of this when you take it? And that is, number 1, it really improves memory. And so you think more clearly, and you know how it affects you, I don't know, but how it affected me was especially in my recall and my clarity of thinking. Also, it maintains healthy weight. This is a great product to take if you're trying to lose weight and maintain a healthy weight. Also, you find that it helps to reduce the storage of body fat. Do you know that your body will actually use this fuel as fuel before it will go and store it? Well, before it will, normal fat gets stored, and then this will actually be used as fuel instead of storing the fat. So it improves your metabolic function. So that's something else. You have more energy when you take this. Better digestion. This is very, very interesting. It really aids in digestion, especially if you have digestive issues like leaky gut. Also, it aids to balance hormone levels. So this is a great way to help balance and bring your body into homeostasis. Also, improves your mood. That's something, these are the benefits that they have found and all of these have scientific backing. They fight bacterial infection and viruses. In fact, coconut oil as a whole is a great antibacterial oil. So full of antioxidants and really helps to fight against bacteria. And if you have parasites, if you have gut issues and bacterial problems in your gut, definitely use coconut oil and the MCT oil. Also, it absorbs fat-soluble nutrients from various foods. A lot of your bad saturated fats and a lot of the problems that people are having, they are not absorbing the nutrition from fats, and so these oils help you absorb nutrition. All right, there you go, Daniel. Yeah, this is Bulletproof. Here, you can see it right there. Bulletproof brand. This is my favorite brand. There's the Now brand. I also like. I look in the back. In the back, you're going to see if there's a high level of lauric acid, then lauric acid actually is more of a long chain triglyceride. It's like right at that cusp, you know, from short to medium to long. And so there's a lot of lauric acid, about 50% here in regular coconut oil. So this is one of the few oils that actually just has the medium chain triglyceride. A lot of them have a mixture and they're higher in the lauric acid. So it's not bad. I mean, lauric acid is good for you because it actually helps you, like when you're having a smoothie or you're having something to digest something more slowly. And so lauric acid is great, but I get my lauric acid when I use the coconut oil. So I use coconut oil to cook with, to bake with, and actually there's other like drinks that I'll put coconut oil in, okay? So I use coconut oil enough to get enough of that lauric acid, but when I'm making my coffee every morning, I use the Bulletproof Coffee or the, you know, a good MCT oil. I take 1 to 2 tablespoons. I actually pour it into my milk when I'm going to be frothing the milk. Now, if you don't have a frother, make sure you put it in the blender because it's kind of nasty. If you know, drinking oil is not the most, you know, wonderful experience. It's like, oh. So you do need to like whip it in put your milk and your Bulletproof Coffee into the blender. Now there is Bulletproof Coffee. I've done a couple videos on that already because I do drink that occasionally. But you know, I was like a little concerned there because I was putting on a lot of weight from drinking those Bulletproof coffees. So I just cut out the butter part. I still do the oil. And it seems to work for me. However, every now and then I get a craving for a Bulletproof coffee. When you drink these coffees, by the way, you've got to take into consideration you've got 120 calories there. So you don't want to be taking this and then eating like a 500 calorie breakfast, all right? So when you're making your coffee, you mix your milk together and then do whatever you do with your milk. You know, I froth mine. I have various frothers as well. Even if I don't use this frother, I have a hand frother. You know, I put it into the coffee. I don't add sugar, but you can add your sweetener. You know, I have the monk fruit sweetener. I'm sure I'll talk to you about that another time. I also mix my milk with coconut milk. So I'll put in like a 1/4 cup of coconut milk to a 1/2 cup of like soy or almond milk. It not only makes it nice and creamy, but again, there's a lot of great satiating benefits with coconut. So, and let me just say one last thing. Not everybody really does coconut well. I can only do so much coconut. It's very, very high I'm actually trying to think. It's like right at the tip of my tongue, but right at the tip of my leptins. I believe coconut, cashews, tomatoes, let's see what other is high in leptins. Cashews, coconut, tomatoes, wine, also grapes. And I find that if I overdo it in any of those products that are high in leptins, I have allergic reactions. So I always have to really make sure that I'm doing this in small quantities. But that's just me. You have to find out what's right for yourself. I have a course called the Regenerate Me Now course, and it teaches you how to remove anti-inflammatory foods. You will lose so much weight on that course just by altering the type of foods that you eat because of the way they interact with your body. And it's a great course for learning how you respond to food and what you need to do for it. It's a step-by-step process, and people have had phenomenal results on it. I'll have the link for that if you want to order it underneath this video. So, coffee, 1 tablespoon. I recommend starting out with 1 tablespoon, and even less if you're just starting out. But 1 tablespoon, I pour them in here because it's easy. Otherwise, you know, when you're using your tablespoon, then it spills over the side. I just, boom, half of this is 1 tablespoon. This is a 2 tablespoon shot glass. I don't use it for anything else because I don't drink. I don't use it for anything else but for things like this. So that's how you do it. And then I have my, oh my gosh, that is so delicious. Now I think I've got a little mustache there. All right, it makes a phenomenal foam too. It really helps to make that way. So there you have it this morning. This is how I start my day with the MCT oil. I have been doing it for a year, and I really notice the improvement that it has made in my memory. So we have green juice in the morning. That is just tremendous for your skin, for your body overall. We have Bulletproof Coffee because I love coffee, and that really makes up my breakfast. Now, the next meal I will eat will be a lunch, or something in the afternoon, because this really takes care of the morning. That's all I need, the green juice and the coffee. All right, thanks so much for joining me today. If you're watching this on the replay, I hope you learned something. There's so much I could say about MCT oil, but I think we've kind of covered the gamut like we always do on these programs. And the reason I even went on this morning to talk about this is because I had a customer purchasing hemp oil last night that told me she was just at the doctor and he wanted her to take more protein. And what I'm learning is that protein is not the answer for a lot of our issues. It's not more protein. Actually, our bodies can get by with a lot less protein and, thrive. However, what we're missing in the diet is a high amount of healthy fats. And this is one way that I make sure that I get those high healthy fats. And so they're great for your cardiovascular system. There are controversies, but always look where those controversies are coming from. What's the source? Because the science is telling us coconut oil, MCT oil, 2 thumbs up. All right, have a great day, crush it today, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.